Story 1. Organic interactions bring the joy of a surprise connection that you didn't know your soul needed. We are saturated with micro-interactions. Story 2. I recently attended a concert, and it felt like everyone was filming for a reality show. Phones were everywhere, and people were trying to get that perfect story shot. The problem is, I'm not tall, so I spent the entire time staring at a sea of hands and glowing screens. The best part? Half the crowd was more focused on getting a video for their Instagram story than actually enjoying the music. Social media has definitely ruined real moments. People forget to live in the moment when they're too busy trying to capture it. Story 3. Wow. I have never upvoted every comment on a Reddit post. Everyone is sharing valuable insights. Story 4. It is easy to discuss real human interaction, but it also undermines the idea that people have a sense of autonomy and do not simply do whatever attracts attention. Story 5. Long-term concentration requires discipline, curiosity, and empathy to understand many important concepts. Story 6. YouTubers create videos about things that are not problems and try to portray them as such. They also target individuals and groups who are not doing anything wrong. They are simply living their lives and producing similar content, but with different themes, and then they make excuses for their behavior. Story 7. I am over 50 and only on Reddit. I have never been on any other platform. I'm here for the jokes. I feel genuinely sorry for all the young people who have to grow up in this world. Story 8. Before, you had many friends and a few acquaintances. Now, it's mostly acquaintances and only a few friends. Story 9. Actual camaraderie. Who wants to be on a date with someone glued to their phone? Or out with friends who are scrolling through social media? Social media has its purpose, but it should not be a distraction from living a real life. Story 10. Dating. Friendships. Relationships. Everyone has become a fake narcissist, pretending to live a life that impresses others and portraying a version of themselves that is not aligned with who they really are. Social media has significantly altered the way people connect, while simultaneously disconnecting them from themselves. Many people do not know who they are. They only know who they believe society wants them to be or who they should be seen with, conforming just to fit in. Considering that a large portion of internet traffic consists of fake accounts and bots, do you truly know if you are engaging with a real person? Social media has also destroyed privacy, intensified feelings of isolation, and instilled fear among people. People are obsessed with follower counts rather than genuine human connections, which devalues individuals and creates a distorted worldview, leading to poor social skills. This obsession fosters materialism, resulting in relationships based on transactional interests, what someone has or does not have, rather than their core values as a human being and how they can contribute to a more inclusive and joyful life. On the positive side, you can still keep in touch with family members you may not talk to often. Story 11. Anxiety in middle school and high school children makes it difficult to escape or relax from the drama of the school day when they go home. Everyone goes online after school. Story 12. People think there are no consequences, and when they face them, they see themselves as victims. Story 13. Americans' ability to use basic critical thinking, media literacy, and regular literacy. Story 14. Reality. Everyone sees a picture-perfect life and wants to keep up with the Joneses. It is not real. Story 15. Generation Alpha, like teenagers, will always have popular trends and unique slang. However, the rapid spread of certain phrases is overwhelming. Many do not fully understand the meanings but use them regardless. Story 16. I am older than the public-facing internet, and despite my high hopes for the potential of the World Wide Web, I am disappointed with the result. Story 17. When I was a child, my sister and I would get excited when we caught our favorite infomercial on television. I want to give a shout out to Ron Popeil and the Showtime rotisserie. Online video platforms are nothing more than shorter, less engaging infomercials disguised as original content, all under the guise of self-importance and attention-seeking behavior. Story 18. Social media, where people post about their lives and constantly compare themselves to others, is like a cancer on people's minds. My wife and I now only use it as a form of communication. Story 19. IT departments of political parties, fan pages of celebrities, and my social media accounts are behaving like personalized advertising billboards. Story 20. Concerts. I'm so tired of looking at phones. It sounds terrible and you'll probably never watch the video. Just enjoy the show. Story 21. Before social media, you could be blissfully unaware of how many attractive people your friends were not bothering to introduce you to. Story 22. It used to be a fun way of interacting and staying in touch. Now it is just unhealthy, profit-driven, and politically motivated content. Story 23. It has happily ruined my long-term dating life, reducing it to short-term encounters with whoever treats me the worst. Sometimes it feels like the only thing I experience is rejection on an app. I can't feel anything else. It has taken the fun out of going out at night. Story 24. 1. The ability to use good manners when interacting with others. My neck hurts from bending over my phone. Story 25. I went on a trek that social media has made very famous. At the base camp, we couldn't see the ground. Only tents were there. People were just enjoying themselves. Social media has changed the meaning of treks significantly. Story 26. Working towards a common good. From writing a thesis about political language on social media in 2012, it was clear that focusing on individualism on social media resonated with people. Saying we can achieve this for us and others would fail to gain traction. However, stating you can get this for you initiated action. We have abandoned the idea of planting trees for others to benefit from the shade. The medium is the message. Marshall McLuhan. Story 27. Sitting and wondering for years about what happened to my childhood friend who moved away in 7th grade. Story 28. The For You page and Explore pages. Once this hit Instagram, I was watching individuals doing inappropriate dances all day. It made me wonder, is this helping my marriage? So I deleted all my accounts. Story 29. Critical thinking and maintaining attention for more than 5 minutes are the main skills needed, along with several others. Story 30. Politics and society have been challenging ever since MySpace, where people showcased their music preferences. Story 31. It used to mean something when you took the time to develop the film and send an envelope. Women felt personally targeted. Now, women receive unsolicited images all day, which diminishes the significance of the gesture. Story 32. The real world of dating, flirting, socializing, and making new friends used to occur face-to-face. However, social media has changed that. Story 33. Music has taken a significant hit because people lack the attention spans to listen to longer, well-written, and more structured songs. Record labels now prioritize songs that go viral on TikTok over cohesive albums that have longevity. Story 34. It's the insidious nature of social media that makes people question how those they care about feel about them, rather than focusing on the number of likes they receive or whether someone sends a happy birthday message or a laughing emoji. It functions like an addiction, triggering the same receptors in the brain that release dopamine each time you check your notifications. Somewhat disturbing. This dynamic can negatively impact relationships with people you care about, as they may interpret your online activity as a reflection of your feelings toward them. I find this troubling. The harm it causes outweighs any potential benefits, often in a subtle and deceptive manner. I would prefer anonymity, as it results in fewer problems. Story 35. I dislike witnessing people using their phones to record when someone is in urgent need of help. Individuals are lying there close to death, while others are filming. Story 36. Most social media platforms are so heavily censored now that you can't even use words like dumb or stupid without getting your post deleted and receiving a warning on your account. Don't even think about using the word F*** if you're angry about something. I know it is normal to be strongly against bad words in America and for people to get offended over nearly everything, but as someone who lives in a country where that isn't the case, the extreme level of censorship is extremely frustrating and it just keeps getting worse. Story 37. I believe it is one of the worst creations mankind has ever invented, worse than firearms and harmful substances. Social media has negatively impacted people's minds, and its creators understood this would happen all along. Story 38. My OLED screen. However, if we are discussing the entire world, I believe there are many more individuals with mental health issues like depression, largely due to social media and cyberbullying. Story 39. The value of friendship. People perceive their friends as haters only because they did not like a post of theirs. Like, who cares? Story 40. Using a large amount of substances and making a fool of yourself without being filmed. In the 1990s, your stories would be told as epic legends. Story 41. The algorithms were heavily inspired by the gaming industry, and our brains were not prepared for this. People become engaged easily. There is limited regulation for misinformation or clickbait. Story 42. Traveling. No matter where you are, someone has been there first, done amazing things, and enjoyed better views, or so it seems. Story 43. High school reunions. Being aware of what some people are doing through social media is enough to avoid spending money on attending. Story 44. It has ruined the experience of being human. On social media, you cannot make a mistake. You have to look and act perfectly, showcasing an ideal body, vacations, and pictures. It is exhausting. Story 45. Everything. My favorite are the influencers who post themselves pointing at someone else's videos. I dislike social media. Story 46. Concerts. Every time there's someone in front of me pulling out their phone to go live and shout their egoistic comments into the selfie camera over the music. If you recognize yourself, then please stop doing that. Story 47. Conflict resolution in relationships is essential, yet it faces challenges due to the ease of forming new friendships and romantic connections. People are no longer obligated to invest effort in maintaining existing relationships, leading to their deterioration at the first sign of serious conflict. This creates a cycle of shallower relationships, diminished social skills, and poorer conflict resolution for everyone involved. Additionally, effective communication requires clarity to reach a wider audience. In today's world, individuals are inundated with information, leaving little time for in-depth understanding of various topics, even those that may interest them. As a result, messages become oversimplified, and many fail to seek out more accurate truths. This issue is particularly evident in politics, using the United States as an example which most are familiar with. Statements such as all police officers are corrupt are undeniably false. However, the more realistic and nuanced perspectives often go unheard, especially among critics. The assertion that Black individuals commit more crimes on average is not a lie, but the underlying reasons for this statistic are frequently overlooked. Story 48. My ability to enjoy my food or walk in peace is often disrupted. There's usually someone recording or being loud, which I find overwhelming. People frequently take pictures and videos of others without consent. I also value privacy and the respect it deserves. It's concerning how easily someone can capture your image or video and post it online, even if you're just a regular person going about your day. Story 49. Social skills, mental health, and living in the moment are important topics that people consume. Currently, it seems that much of this content is unproductive, and some individuals are profiting from it. People's standards regarding relationships, finances, and other areas are also shifting. However, it's important to recognize that social media is not the sole cause of these issues. We cannot place the blame solely on one aspect and leave it at that. Social media is merely another tool created by humans to generate profit and encourage addiction. Before social media, we had drugs, gambling, video games, television, and more. Each of these can be harmful, some to mental health and others to physical health. But we cannot simply blame these influences without taking action ourselves. It is similar to blaming video games for violent behavior in children. Ultimately, it is the responsibility of parents to guide their children properly. Anything that is addictive can be likened to a form of drug. If we do not know how to manage these influences, it is crucial that we change ourselves, rather than blaming external factors. Focusing on blame will lead to more harm than good. Story 50. What hasn't it ruined? First, religion was the opium of the masses. Then we had television until social media said, "Hold my beer." Story 51. This may be a hill not worth dying on, and maybe I'm splitting hairs, but I firmly believe social media hasn't ruined anything. Rather, things have ruined social media. Those of us who remember the MySpace days know it was never like it is now. I think encouraging, rewarding, and prioritizing engagement has been one of the worst things to be normalized. That, coupled with the intentional cultivation of a culture war, has made social media a bleak wasteland. Story 52. Let me see the Generation X perspective. The independent newspaper is still around, but it is read less frequently. Children's attention spans are affecting entire generations of education. Manipulated elections worldwide have led to significant issues. Story 53. The way people interact with each other, including dating and beauty standards, morality, average attention span, personality, accountability, and self-esteem, has changed significantly. The importance of perfection has become so prominent that many individuals have forgotten how to be human. This shift is largely due to social media, which compels everyone to engage in a relentless pursuit of an idealized image. Story 54. Perception of the individual, especially regarding girls. I noticed this and felt compelled to address it. My 14-year-old daughter believes she needs to be a size 2 and is experimenting with diet fads. Story 55. Social media is essentially an inanimate object. It is not capable of ruining anything. Only people can do that, and they have been doing it for as long as there have been people. Story 56. Saying, "I love you," is often over-sexualized and romanticized. When I was a child, I used to say that to everyone because humans have mutual love for each other. It is an outward feeling of appreciation and care for all other humans. Story 57. I have been daydreaming about getting a landline and an old iPod for music. Story 58. A lot of things come to mind, but one example is the enjoyment of shows and movies. Of course, not everything is perfect. However, I find that many people have too much time on their hands to dissect entire stories and post what they call plot holes and bad writing online. It seems that hardly any movie or show exists without a following of detractors. It's gotten to the point where I no longer read commentary, as it tends to ruin my enjoyment of the show or movie. Now, I go into them blindly and ignore what social media is saying. Story 59. The acceptance of different opinions. When your newsfeed presents you with reels and articles that align with your views, everything that differs from them is perceived as an offense. Story 60. I agree with everything that's been said in the comments. Regarding nightlife and clubbing, I know the younger generation doesn't drink as much as previous generations, but even when it comes to dancing, it seems like no one knows how to enjoy themselves. There's rarely any atmosphere. Everyone is posing or too busy taking photos for social media. With everything being captured on video now, people seem afraid of looking silly and possibly getting posted online, which is understandable, but it's really sad. Story 61. Relationships of any kind, familial, friendship, romantic, professional, are important. People often overshare and undervalue real-life interactions, focusing instead on superficial online recognition as if it holds significance years later. Nothing feels special when everyone behaves like mere advertisements. We have become product-like in our interactions. Story 62. Game refers to the ability to approach someone, flirt with them, and establish a relationship in person. Story 63. I'm going to break from the norm on this thread and point out that what we consider social media today is not the same as it was in 2010. Social media has evolved into rapid-fire content consumption, fed to viewers by algorithms controlled by corporations. This evolution has enabled the commodification of both our attention and personal information as a means to better target us for advertisements. It is why we have people scrolling from one site to another throughout the day. I'm not saying that social media in 2010 was inherently better. They just didn't have the technology. The best they could leverage was hiring social scientists from the casino industry to develop mobile applications that garnered attention through dopamine hits, captivating people long enough to watch their ads. Not to mention, social media has always involved people posting highlights of their lives to give others the false impression that their lives are somehow better than they are. Modern social media has just sped up the inevitable decline of our capitalist society. Story 64. Mental health. According to recent research, 33% of young girls on social media in Denmark suffer from depression, anxiety, and negative self-image. Story 65. It ruins social media. They stopped innovating in ways for people to connect and started innovating in the opposite direction. Story 66. Well, I just spent 4 hours browsing Reddit instead of eating. All I've had to eat today is a cookie, and it's 7 p.m. Story 67. Music has lost its mystery in a live show. People record the entire performance and post it online. Story 68. It ruined many relationships. It made cheating, especially emotional affairs that can lead to physical affairs, so easy. Often, I believe these relationships started innocently, with old exes from years ago just saying hi or catching up on current life, and then evolving into something that crosses lines. I also think social media gives people a sense that it is acceptable to be radicalized. Overall, I would not be surprised if social media is our downfall. I also recognize the irony of criticizing social media on a social media platform. Story 69. Socializing. Social media showcases the best of everything, making you increasingly addicted to watching and scrolling, to the point where you may not want to go outside or speak to anyone. Reality is often disappointing, but on social media, reality can be anything I want. Story 70. I believe people ask this just to confirm because they can't grasp the damage in real time, as they are unable to focus on it anymore and don't notice. Story 71. Everything, especially the minds of children, is concerning. They struggle to speak English correctly, frequently using terms like bro and made-up words such as finna due to a limited vocabulary. It's disheartening to see some adults using similar language, which portrays a lack of education. Many people blindly follow trends that are dangerous or nonsensical, spending excessive money on items that become popular online, like a $200 water bottle that claims to infuse water with hydrogen. How naive are these individuals? The people I mentioned seem less intelligent than macaque monkeys, and many cannot read beyond a third-grade level. Additionally, tourists traveling to countries like Japan often act foolishly for social media views, leading to restrictions on access to historical sites. Civility seems to be declining. I'm frustrated with how things have turned out. To any extraterrestrials that may witness this, please stay away and allow humanity to face the consequences of its actions. It's only a matter of time. Story 72. Look at the United States right now. We have someone undermining health agencies while promoting eugenics. Story 73. Friend groups. I am 14 years old and the only person in my grade without a phone. This is difficult because unless I communicate through my parents' phone, no one talks to me during breaks or on weekends. I feel isolated with no one to talk to. Honestly, phones are not great. Story 74. Social media has brought to the forefront everything that any media leader desired: an objective, a stance. It was always presented as unbiased until the turn of the century, even though it wasn't, and we all knew it but were too afraid to say it. The media always had an agenda, and it made an impact. We thought, as a civilized society, that it wasn't the media influencing us. And now we find ourselves exactly as the construct was designed. This isn't just a social media problem, it's a social issue. We are not the same, we never have been, and we won't be thanks to the construct. Mind you, we could have been, but the design prevents it. Or perhaps we will. All I hope to convey is to think for yourself and honor life. That's all that truly matters, yours and mine, regardless of who or what we are. Forget the construct. Dmayer, April 29th, 250126. All rights reserved. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.